So I'm always super surprised by how many people don't know how to do this one super important trick with their Oculus Quest 2. This trick is essential for taking care of your Quest and making sure that it runs good all of the time. And I'm honestly really amazed at how many people don't know how to perform the simple task of rebooting the Quest 2. Now don't click off this video, I promise this isn't just clickbait. If you want, the actual tip is just to leave your headset on all the time, charging it to keep the battery ready to go, but remembering to reboot it every week or so. That's the tip, so if you click away now, I don't blame you, but if you're interested in learning more as I educate people on how to perform basic functions on an electronic device, then keep watching. So yeah, somehow a lot of people don't know how to reboot their Oculus Quest 2 headset, and if you're one of those people, then all you need to do is take your headset and throw it off a bridge, because you obviously don't deserve to have a VR headset. Now I'm only slightly joking, but seriously, most of you watching are probably thinking that I'm exaggerating, but I have a video that I put out, it's my biggest video yet, that basically says you should remember to reboot your Quest every now and then to make sure it stays running good. And you would not believe how many children have gotten dropped on their head, how many people don't know how to how many people don't know how to reboot the device. Now if you're older and don't have experience with very many electronics, then I don't blame you for not knowing what a reboot is or how to do it. Same thing if you're like 5 years old and commenting on the video trying to learn how to take care of the super expensive toy your parents probably shouldn't have gotten you. Even if you have experience with modern electronics, you might not know the differences between reboot, restart, or reset. Well, I'm here to tell you that they're all exactly the same thing. Rebooting, restarting, or resetting a device is simply turning the device all the way off and then turning it back on. Some people might argue that a reset means something else, and to them I say, get out of here. A factory reset is where you completely wipe a device of all of its data, basically turning it back into the same state it was in when it came out of a factory. And many people argue that when someone says a reset, they're talking about this, a factory reset. But usually, for the vast majority of people, a reset is understood to mean the same thing as a reboot, and if they're talking specifically about a factory reset, they will say factory reset. So I just want to make that clear. If I say reset, I'm talking about restarting or rebooting the device, which are all the same thing. I'm not talking about a factory reset. Also, simply pressing the power button on your Quest doesn't turn off the headset. This simply puts it into sleep mode. So by pressing the headset button twice, it's not actually restarting or rebooting the device, you're simply putting the screen to sleep and then waking it right back up like my annoying alarm clock. So how do you actually restart the Quest? Well, there's 3 ways to do it. 1, you can hold the power button for a couple of seconds and then a screen will pop up inside of the headset that lets you either restart or turn off the device. So from there, you just select restart and you're done. Number 2, you could also turn your device off using the same menu and then turn it right back on afterwards. This is called power cycling the device and is essentially the same thing as restarting it. You could also perform a hard restart, which is usually done if the device is frozen and you can't open up the menu or do anything normal. In this case, you simply hold the power button for like 30 seconds or so until the device turns itself off completely, and then you just turn it back on. So now that you know how to do it, when should you restart or turn off your headset? Well, generally, you are 100% okay to leave your headset on in sleep mode all of the time. Think of the headset like a phone. It's designed to be waiting for you to come back to it and use it. You don't need to turn it off and on again each time you want to use it. That said, if you decide to leave it on, I recommend going into your settings, the device tab, scroll all the way down to power, and then turn off auto wake headset. Leaving this on will cause the headset to turn on when it detects movement, or if something covers the sensor in the headset like your forehead. The problem is I noticed it was turning itself on and draining the battery at night because it was dark, and so since it was dark, the sensor thought it was being covered and it thought somebody was using it, so the battery would drain. Same thing would happen if I had it in a case and I was traveling, the movement and darkness would make it think I was using it and it would kill the battery. But as long as you have that option off, you have no problem leaving the headset on all the time. Now I just want to point out that I'm saying this in contradiction to what Oculus support says in regards to maximizing the battery life. They say that you should power down the headset when you're not using it, especially if you're traveling. They basically say this is for the same reason that I told you. Sometimes the headset will think you're using it and drain the battery, which isn't good for your battery or your sanity. But that doesn't mean you actually have to turn it off every time you're done using it. They just say this because they kind of have to, because the world is full of stupid people, so instead of just explaining the nuances of why you should turn it off, they just keep it stupid simple and say turn it off when you're not using it. In reality, I know people that haven't turned off their headset for months and their headset is running just as good as when they got it. On the note of battery, if you're worried about leaving the headset on and the battery draining, you could also just charge your headset all the time. Just leave it plugged in anytime you're not using it so you can have it ready to go when you want to use it. Technically, if you want to take care of the battery, you shouldn't do this. In fact, you should always keep the battery between 30 and 80% to maximize its life. That said, most modern batteries, including what's in the Quest 2, are designed to prevent this kind of damage from happening. You may have noticed your phone charge really quickly from like a low percentage to a higher percentage, like say 80%, but then it takes a lot longer to get from 80% to 100. This is because your phone is using optimized charging to protect the battery. Oculus on the support page also says that the Quest 2 and Elite Strap with battery also utilize their version of the optimized battery charging. This means that like your phone, you're not going to do very much damage by letting it charge to 100%. That said, Oculus does recommend unplugging the headset when it is fully charged, and just like before, they're really only saying this because they have to and the world is full of a bunch of idiots. If you seriously want to take care of your headset, then yes, you should unplug it after it is fully charged. But realistically, the damage done to it by charging it all the time is negligible, meaning you won't really notice it by the time you inevitably replace the thing. That said, if you really are worried about overcharging it, then I recommend you check out this VR Power external battery. This battery adds a layer of protection to your Quest battery because the VR Power battery pack stops charging the headset once it reaches a full charge, and it won't start charging again until you press the button to tell it to, or you unplug and plug it back into the headset. So this means that you can leave your battery plugged into the Quest all of the time and it won't ever overcharge the headset. This is a huge benefit of having this external battery. Outside of that, it adds up to like 8 hours of battery time to my playing, which means even if I do damage the battery, I'll only lose a few minutes of charge. It won't be that big of a deal with all of the extra power that I have with the VR Power battery. Plus, external batteries are relatively cheap, so if you leave the battery plugged in all of the time and it wears out, you can just replace it pretty easily. So using the VR Power with the Quest 2 is the perfect solution to prevent overcharging if you're really worried about that. I use a VR Power battery and leave it plugged in charging all of the time, and I've noticed no reduction in my playtime at all. But even without the VR Power battery, like I said, leaving your Quest charging won't kill it overnight. Any damage done to it isn't that big of a deal, and you probably won't notice it by the time the next Quest headset comes out. So go ahead and leave your Quest on and leave it charging ready to use. If you really want to take care of your battery, remember to unplug it once it's fully charged, but don't freak out if you accidentally leave it charging. It really isn't doing that much damage. Now, if you do decide to leave your headset on pretty much all the time, then you should try to reboot it at least once a week to avoid bugs and issues. Computers are just designed in a way that the longer they're on, the more likely it is that they'll have issues. So while I've gone probably months before even rebooting the headset, it's a good idea to reboot it or turn it off at least once a week to avoid these issues that might arise. Again, I've gone weeks without rebooting it and it generally worked fine, but if you want to be proactive at preventing bugs and issues, just reboot it once every week. If you already forgot how to reboot the headset, or if you didn't know in the first place before watching this video, then like I said in the beginning, just take your headset and go throw it off. Just go rewatch the video. Now, I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. You do you. If you want to protect the headset like it's made of glass by never overcharging it for a second and turning it off anytime you're not using it, then go ahead. If you're like me and just want to leave it charging and on all of the time, then great. Just remember to reboot it every now and then. And if you're about to go into the comment section saying,
Oculus says this, or I'm a tech expert of 60 years and you have no idea what you're talking about, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear it. Like I said, you do what you think is good for you. I'm just sharing what I personally do with my own headset. Do with that what you will. I'm no tech genius of 30, 60, 40, whatever years or whatever bullcrap, but I do know what I'm talking about. So there you go. I made this stupid video that honestly shouldn't have to be made. I hope you learned something, and if you didn't, then count yourself lucky. You understand basic computer fundamentals and get absolutely nothing, because honestly, that's the bare minimum to owning a device like this. To the rest of you, please know that I'm just joking. If this video helped you in any way, please drop a like and consider subscribing. I look forward to reading all of the comments down below, arguing with me, telling me I'm an idiot, so I will see you all down there in the comment section.